Tangina, merong balita. Excuse me. Pasensya na guys ha. May mga tumatawag kasi pinatayan ka ng Mikey Trillanes po. Oo nga eh. Guys, yung impeachment ni Inday, nakahanda na daw next week. Ipa-file na this week. Ipa-file na daw this week. Tangina, talagang gusto nilang tapusin si Inday. Gusto nilang tapusin si Inday. Hello, madam from TV, galawin lang nila si BS, makikita nila. May pangotra ka dyan sa bako. Parang inaano yung live ko no? Grabe, baka overnight lang i-approve yan. Well, they have the numbers, no? Ang impeachment process kasi, this is how it's going to pan out. Ipa-file yan sa committee. Sa committee sa Congress. Pagka-file yan sa committee sa Congress, the Congress will have to decide whether it is sufficient in substance and in form. Ayun. Ngayon, kapag nakita nila it is sufficient in substance and in form, iaakyat to sa Senate. Then the Senate is going to conduct a trial type procedure in order to convict yung impeachable officer to see if such officer violated or committed those grounds for impeachment. Ayun. Makakapasa kaya sa Senado? Eto na. According dun sa Alitap-Tap, ang sinasabi is that they are also consolidating the number of votes in the Senate. Ayun. Senator Amy also is being being isolated. There is a huge spat daw between Bongbong and Amy. Amy is not parang is being pushed away by the brother. Yun yung kwento, no. Napakabilis lang nung Alitap-Tap ko. Nagmamadali kasi parang haggard. It looks like everything is happening so fast right now. And actually medyo nagbago yung mood ko guys kasi parang tangina, mukhang may mangyayari in the next couple of weeks. Handa lang namin si VP sa mga evidence niya. Naku, di malayo na gawin talaga nila. Yung impeachment is something that is expected. Kasi nung pinasabog nila yung confidential fund, ang goal talaga nun is mag-end up siya to impeachment. Baka abstain yan si Amy, sabi ni Tita Emily. Tita Emily, tingin ko, si Senator Amy, boboto yan in support kay Inday. Hindi yan mag-a-abstain. Boboto yan in support kay Inday. Ngayon, yung mga reklamo kay Senator Amy, like dun sa brother niya and whatnot, ganyan. I think the doubt is still going to be there. But I think insofar as her vote for the impeachment of Sara is concerned, boboto yan against the impeachment. Kaso nga lang, ang tanong, isa lang na boto isang boto lang si Senator Amy Mag-ready na tayo for people power, please lang. Sabi ni, well, you have to be ready. When your telephone rings, you have to be ready. When your country calls for you, you have to be ready. You have to be ready. Ayun. Nasira yung mood ko, tangina. Nasira yung mood ko. Ang taong bayan versus 250 congressmen at magsama-sama pa mga senado yan, 30 million tayo. Well, what they are doing to Inday is really beyond, even yung vilest politician, yung pinaka-vile na mga political tactic. This cruelty is, parang, it's really beyond imagination. Parang, ganito pa lang ganito, kaya pala lang maging ganito kasama? Please be ready. When your phone rings, answer the call of the people. Answer the call of the people. Because, that's constitutional. You shouldn't be scared. The people is the sovereign. The people is the sovereign. So, do not be scared. Ginagamit lang nila ang freedom of speech niya. Hindi pa yan may impeach cruelty agad. Wala pang impeachment. React tayo pag meron na. Just be ready. Sabi ni Romjan. Well, Romjan, if it's not going to happen, then that's good. But, with all the things that they are doing against PRRD, against Inday, against the supporters of PRRD. Hi! Hello! Anyway, yung sinasabi ni Romjan, yung mag-react tayo kapag nandyan na. Romjan, there is really no time na parang magbigay ng space at this point. At naiintindihan ko yung parang let us be reasonable, let us be objective and whatnot. Yung kumbaga kalmahan lang natin. I am all for that. But let us also not be, dismissive of the fact na sobrang grabe na yung ginagawa nila ngayon. They don't respect laws. They do not respect the law. They do not respect the, proper procedure. And I don't think that they are going to, suddenly be kind to Inday and be respectful of our institutions and whatnot, ganyan. Sobrang dami ng pangmamanipula ang ginawa nila. Sana mag-people power na maalis si President at alisin si Tambaluslos. Wala na po yung isang live. Naputol na nga na hindi na siya na gano'n. Lahat ng pang-issue kay VP ay gagawin nila. Tama, sobrang grabe na talaga. Wala na sila mairibad sa mga wrongdoings nila sa government. Ayun yan, yung babalik ako na sinasabi ni Rome John na, sige, ando tayo, no, na parang, mag-react lang tayo pag nandyan na. But if we're going to react, if it's already there, when all the reasons and all the facts and circumstances really point to them doing that thing, kapag nag-react tayo, pag nandyan na siya, pag hindi pa tayo nag-isip or hindi tayo hindi natin binigyan ng malalim na atensyon itong pangyayaring to. Kung mag-iisip tayo once na dumating yung sitwasyon na yun, it might be too late. It might be too late. Miss Joey, parang pati yung korte natatapalan na nila, nakakagalit na talaga. Well, yun nga yung nakakatakot. Actually, isa sa mga nakakatakot dyan, remember, Jonathan Morales got convicted all of a sudden. His case dragged on for a very, very long time. Tapos bigla siyang na-convict. Of course, it's political. And, hi kuya.
Hindi ko nagsabi.
Oo, nakalive. Hindi, may message kita sa ano.
Sa?
I heard just recently na nakalive ako. Nakalive ako ngayon. I received a phone call during live. And then I was advised, impeachable source to
Right.
I was advised that the impeachment is going to happen this week.
Impeachment of Bongbong Marcos or Inday Sara?
Inday Sara.
Wow. Shit.
So, they're really going to push this, no? I think minamadali nila to, kuya. Minamadali nila ito. Kasi they do not want the movement of the interaction.
Right.
They want to be faster than the people.
Right.
They want to be quicker than the people. Na bago kayo makapag-organisa, tanggalin na namin to.
Or the military.
Yeah, o yung bago makapag-organisa ang military, well, they know that, di ba? That is something na.
Wow.
So, I think it's going to be very, kailangan talaga tayo kumilos.
Very tumultuous days ahead.
Yeah. So, that's the story.
Okay. Wow, I'm taken aback, ha? I never had any idea. At least, because...
Actually, nagulat din ako when I received the phone. I know there, di ba, medyo ina-expect natin yung impeachment na yan,
Right.
di ba?
But at this time...
But not this quick.
Not this quick and not this time. Because it will appear to be a vendetta of what the VP,
Inday lashes out, and this is how they're going to react.
Exactly. Yeah, and those are valid critiques.
Well, that shows how powerful Inday also.
Exactly.
Kasi, di ba, nagparinig lang siya 2 beses, nagreklamo pa lang. Di ba, public statement pa ng 2 beses si Inday, and then the retaliation is impeachment.
Well,
diba?
yes. Come on. I think this has gone way overboard, no? For the administration. I think there is no longer any semblance of reason, and this is all paranoia on the part of the admin. To be honest, I think.
Kuya, coffee po.
Yeah, ako na po.
Anong coffee?
Cappuccino na lang ako.
Gabi, very late na rin kasi kagabi. Di ba kagabi plano pa natin na mag-react doon sa pangalawang statement?
Grabe naman yung ano natin. Grabe naman yung berdeng ahas mo, no?
Oo, may kinausap kami berdeng ahas kagabi kasi hindi kami nakalive ni Kuyang Ibi. Ayan. Grabe yung berdeng ahas.
Pero okay lang sa kanya na tawaging sir, ha?
Oo. Ayan.
Sa TikTok lang nag-live ngayon, hindi sa YouTube?
Sa YouTube lang.
Sa YouTube lang, okay.
Sabi ni impeach Tambalustay, incompetent brat Sara, thank God. Sabi ni Elliot de la Cruz. Can you please tell me how is a Secretary of Education who reformed 70% of the curriculum, who was able to bring the 30-day uninterrupted vacation of the teachers, who was able to ensure 5,000 administrative assistant to deload the already burdened teachers, incompetent Elliot de la Cruz.
Hey, overload pay and overtime pay and overload pay. Inday Sara also instituted that.
Yeah.
Siya lang. Overload pay tsaka overtime pay. Nobody did.
Oo. So, may nagtatanong ito, for what reason ba nila impeach si Inday? You know, sa totoo lang, yung mga reason na ganyan na there are grounds for impeachment, betrayal of public trust, grave, culpable violation of the Constitution, and all that jazz. Marami yan. I think five grounds. So, there are 5 grounds of impeachment. However, because it is a political exercise, they can actually make any reason to impeach a person. Like for example, like what they did to Renato Corona. You know, Renato Corona was impeached because of culpable violation of Constitution.
Because he did not declare his sal-and-ben?
Oo, he did not declare his sal-and. So ngayon, he was impeached based on that ground. But when the same case was actually brought to the proper forum, which is the court, in Sandigan Bayan, they found that, they found that former Justice Renato Corona should only be penalized by fine. Kasi administrative lang daw yung error na yun. You know, if it is administrative, ibig sabihin, the infraction is not substantial. Diba? It's not substantial.
Again, as like you said, an impeachment process is a political process. So any premise can always be worded and interpreted into one of those
five
encompassing 5 reasons for it.
And from what I learned, ang gagamitin raw nila dyan is yung confidential fund issue.
Well, if it's confidential fund issue, talagang if she is impeachable because of the spending that she made for like 11 days lang ata, then it follows that the president is also impeachable because it was from the contingent fund of the office of the president.
Yeah, yes, correct.
So that's why there's a pending petition yan dun sa Supreme Court, no? If the transfer, questioning the constitutionality of the transfer from the office of the president to the office of the vice president, from the president's contingent fund, no? Yun ang CIF, no? And it's still not being resolved yet.
Yeah.
So if they will preempt the Supreme Court by filing an impeachment complaint based on the same, I don't know what's going to. There's going to be a constitutional crisis, I think. Joey,
yeah.
If that would be the grounds for an impeachment complaint.
Yeah, because if the impeachment court is going to impeach Sara based on the same grounds,
right.
You know, how is our regular court, the Supreme Court in this situation, will decide? Kasi they cannot just make like flimsy decision. They're not political
Of course.
Diba? So it's very interesting because at that point, talagang masasabi na natin kung kunwari magde-decide yung ating korte in the same manner na magde-decide yung...
What if they decide the impeachment petition is sufficient in form and substance, and then maabutan ng Supreme Court na declaring that the transfer from the office of the president to the office of the vice president is constitutional, diba? So it means void ab initio na yung impeachment complaint, or insufficient na in substance.
We can argue that way, and the senators can definitely argue that way because that's the proper way. However, the decision of the Supreme Court cannot really control the decision of the impeachment court.
It's a political
Kung sobrang
exercise.
kapal ng mukha nila, they might argue that way. Na yun yung nakita ng Supreme Court, iba yung considerations namin dito eh.
Tama.
Diba?
Tama.
Yun yung nakakatakot, guys. Ayun. There are 5 these are the impeachment grounds. Culpable violation of the Constitution, treason, bribery, graft and corruption, and other high crimes, or betrayal of public trust.
So those are very vague generalizations.
Yeah.
In fact, I would even argue na all crimes or violations can be...
Third floor. Handito na yung third floor dragons.
Hi, third floor. Si Pam ba yan?
Pam.
Hi, Pam. See you in 2 weeks.
Si Pam to, si
Marlon?
Si Sir Marlon. Ayan. They also said that they'll remove Sagip party list of Marcoleta sa COMELEC dahil sa mga expose regarding Miro.
Oh! Wow. Okay. Oh yeah, Andres Bautista has been indicted in the US based on the affidavit executed by Attorney Glenn Chong, I think. So, ayun.
But ang alam ko, but I have to check it, no? Andy Bautista was, his problem in the US is totally independent doon sa
kay Glenn Chong.
Sa COMELEC and yun kay Glenn Chong. He was actually indicted because of the money that he cannot explain.
Okay.
Kasi in the US kasi, in the US kasi, you have to explain all your money, especially if it accumulated, if the transaction, one single transaction is more than 10,000 pesos. So you're holding a 10,000 pesos in cash, you're going to be temporarily arrested until you're able to explain the source of your money.
I was not able to read doon sa kay Bautista. What I read was the ang tawag dito, the reasons, no, for the Smartmatic guys to be indicted under the foreign corrupt practices, something of the US, at saka yung isang ano nila.
I think he was indicted because of the money that he cannot explain.
Okay, so it's unexplained wealth.
Hindi, bribery.
Bribery. Kaya nga, sabi ko nga, it was bribery because the Smartmatic guy, it was established that the Smartmatic guys was bribing Andy Bautista. He was part of the conspiracy, no, to acquire contracts from the Philippines, the COMELEC, and to remain under contract, no, to extend the contract of Smartmatic. No. Now, that is why I'm saying that maybe Attorney Glenn's affidavit, no, was formed one of the bases to implicate Bautista and to indict the Smartmatic, because I think the only evidence, no, for the US DOJ to file those indictment, I think, is Attorney Glenn's affidavit, because it happened with Smartmatic.
I think what happened was that he couldn't explain the money. And because he is a government official, it is automatically flagged sa anti-money laundering.
Right.
And because you cannot explain it, when they try to get when the American justice system rolled, they were able to connect the bribery charge. Kasi if you cannot explain money, that's probably coming from bribery. Ano kay government official kay, diba? So yeah, I think it rolled from there. It rolled from there. Pero yung kaso has I don't think it has something to do with Attorney Glenn Chong na na yung sa affidavit niya and whatever. Nag-ano na kasi tingnan basahin lang natin. The former chairman of the Commission on Election in the Philippines was indicted by the US Federal Grand Jury in Florida Thursday for alleged taking bribes from a company that provided voting machines for the country's 2016 election. So that's Smartmatic. Faces 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering and 3 counts of international laundering money and so yun nga, so laundering nga. So tama nga yung pagkakaintindi ko dun sa kaso, because he was caught with money that he cannot explain, they have to get explanation from it. Ngayon, in money laundering kasi guys, if you are a government official, former government official or current government official, if you have wealth, if you are going to make any transactions, immediately mapaflag yan. Ngayon, especially if the transaction is huge, definitely hindi ka mawawala doon sa list na yun. There is a list that's being kept by all financial institutions. Hindi ka matatanggal doon sa list na yun unless you are going to prove where that money comes from. Okay. So if you cannot explain it, it will trigger an investigation. Okay, now, since you are a government official and you cannot explain it, the only explanation is that you were bribed.
Right. Pero Joey, no? I don't know, I haven't read that case, no? But Andy Bautista is not a US official. So I think the investigation was triggered on the Smartmatic people, not on Andy Bautista. It just so happened that it was Andy Bautista who is implicated in the laundering charges of the Smartmatic guys. I don't know, just my
anti-money laundering policies are actually very similar in almost all jurisdictions.
Okay.
So, regardless if you are a local official or an official of another country or things like that, they would have a policy on, what do you call this? Yung, may category kasi guys na ganun eh. Like for example, you are a public figure, that includes government official ka, presidente ka ng NGO, presidente ka ng whatever, ganyan. Yung public figure ka, and you are in the position to transact money, and you are of well repute, ganyan. May tawag dun sa grupo na yun eh. And that is that is also parang like a similar policy of all countries that are allowed to transact with each other.
Parang ano din yan, no? Parang ano ba yan, Joey? Meron bang parang merong convention dyan eh. Kaya nga may certain gray list. Diba?
The gray list is actually the countries who have very weak anti-money laundering system. So that is why we were called out several times eh.
We're still in the gray list, ha?
We're still in the gray list. So ang sinasabi doon na parang okay, meron na kayong policy. Parehas na kayo ng policy namin. You're going to be put in the gray list for these reasons. Number 1, you have no existing policy. You have no existing law. Okay? Now you create your law that is similar to the policies of other countries. When you do that, you're gonna be taken out of the gray list temporarily. But if they're going to see that the number of suspicious transactions did not stop, you're still going to be on the gray list. So that's what happened to the Philippines.
We complied because of the law.
During the Pinoy time, the anti-terrorist financing was actually legislated. Pagkatapos, yung anti-terrorism law na legislate, anti-terrorist financing na legislate, and things like that. And, wait. No. What was legislated was the amendment on the anti-money laundering nung time ni Pinoy. Okay? During nung time ni PRRD, we're still on the gray list. So what happened? We beefed up the anti-terrorism law.
Yeah, with anti-terrorism financing,
With stronger enforcement mechanism ng anti. And then, after that, natanggal tayo sa gray list.
Right.
Okay? But what happened? sabi ng FACTA,
Right.
ayun, Financial Action Task
Task
Force,
Force, right.
Sabi ng nila, uy, meron kayong mga batas, meron kayong mga actually, it's a very strong policy. Sure. Ngayon, ang tawag dito, sabi, you're not implementing your...
Kaya we're still on the gray list.
Kaya we're still on the gray list. Ayan. Ayun. May tanong dito, paano kung let's say Sara is successfully impeached, then nagka-people power ang bangon is ousted? Can the people demand Sara to be president? No, there's no need to demand.
Yes,
The Constitution says that she's the successor. So if Sara is going to take over, that's the natural consequence of things. She's the vice president. Diba?
Right.
Ayun. Teka lang guys, Teka lang po.
I'm quite surprised if there really is a move to impeach VP Sara this early. Maybe it's a strategy for them. No? They think it's a better strategy. No? Sort of nipping the bud early in the game, sabi na nga ni Joey, so that the growing dissent will not prosper. And maybe they think that the support base of the VP is not yet that wide and deep. And of course, they have Congress in control, and the Senate turned into an impeachment court. Will probably be neutral at best, but I think pressure will be applied to all the members of the Senate. I'm just telling them that I was surprised nga this early that they are working on that impeachment plan.
Parang kailangan mong pumunta ng Manila. So,
Kailan ba yun? Kailan ba yun?
next week daw eh. Actually, nakabook ako ng, di ba? I'm supposed to stay in Davao until August 31. So, I am not really expecting any
To Davao?
Oo. I think parang ang feeling ko kasi, parang magkakaroon pa ng mga public propaganda war for quite some time.
I think so.
I thought that's gonna be the consequence. Kasi Sara started talking. Sara started calling out people in the government. And so I thought that, magre-react sila kay Sara or gano'n, mga ganyan. It looks like they do not want to give Inday Sara any time.
Yes. They don't want to give her, that window, no? Even just a split second window to propound any of her critiques, no? Even mainstream media, no? I just si Sas ata nag-share nung isang reel, Harry Roque talking to One News people. Ayaw nang banggitin yung ayaw nang pag-usapan si Kati Binag. So talagang they are out and about, and I think they are reinforcing their strength, in numbers. Itong administrasyon na to. They're paranoid, no? I think they're not sleeping anymore, no?
They are extremely paranoid.
They're not sleeping. No one is sleeping now in Malacanang.
Sir Bobby Tiglao wrote an article in which yung kanyang network of Alitap was saying that mainstream media companies were actually instructed not to talk about drug use of the president, anything that is related to the drug use of the president. So that includes Kati Binag, no positive report on the president, no negative report as well.
Yes, parang sila parang agnostic, no? To portray some semblance of impartiality, no? Pero kung titinan mo, hindi naman ganyan yung traditional media, yung role ng traditional media, kahit anong chismis diyan, dinidig up nila pero talagang makikita mo na ngayon na they are paid or instructed to do or not to do nothing. Instructed not to do nothing. Not to do anything.
Not to do anything.
Yes. So kaya kasi ang tutulis na ng mga and I expect some more statements coming from the VP. Especially if she got wind of this information na meron na nga nilalakad na nga yung impeachment niya sa House.
Sabi ni Mauricio Valdez, impeach yan, Davao City, di naman umasenso, magpresidente pa kaya. Sabi ni Mauricio, wag pong sasagarin ng pagkatanga. Ang Davao City po ay isa sa, I think, nasa top 10 siya na pinakamayaman.
Number 5 ata?
Oo.
It's GDP of Davao is, I think, number 3 or number 4. Second to Cebu.
At outside, this is outside Metro Manila,
Outside
of course.
outside
Oo.
NCR, of course.
And also, Davao City was able to, almost eradicate the gap of yung liability nila versus yung kanilang It's not zeroed out.
It's not zeroed.
They zeroed out their
Yeah, they zeroed
liabilities.
out. There's one fiscal year that they zeroed out.
They zeroed it out,
They zeroed
diba?
it
They
out.
zeroed it out.
And they were consistently on the top 2 or 3 safest cities in Asia for the last 5, 8 years or even 10 years. So
Correct.
don't tell me that shit,
So ikaw,
Mauricio.
Mauricio, kantatang-tangang putang ina ka. Ako sa'yo.
Ano pa dyan mga
Ayun.
comment ko?
Bulagang mga bashers dito. Davao records are doctored. Sabi, ano yung proof ninyo na
Doctored?
doktor siya? Na,
Doctor.
fake.
Wow. Ano mga
Ayun.
aligasyon yung doctor?
Sino ba yung sabi? Si Torre?
Yun ang sabi ni Torre na doctor daw yung crime statistics, putangin ng Torre.
Okay. Maganda yung tanong ni Tio G. Tanong ko lang po, si Sara papalit kay Bongbong, bakit si Tolentino di pumalit kay Marcos noong 1986 People Power? Tanong lang po. Okay, magandang question yan, Okay, what happened in 1986 is actually extra-constitutional. Okay, ano ibig sabihin ng...
There was no impeachment.
Well, there's no succession because there's no constitution.
Right.
There's no constitution. Supposedly, yung nangyari noong 1986, it dismissed the 1973 Constitution at all. So they're not following any rules during that time. So ang nangyari po noong 1986 is extra constitutional. Ibig sabihin labas ito doon sa kinikilalang doon sa supposedly
1973
1973 Constitution. So hindi nga yun nire-respeto. Dinismiss nga yung 1973 Constitution.
Kaya nga
Kasi
may 1987 Constitution eh.
Correct. Kaya may 1986 Constitution. 1987 Constitution because of what happened in 1986. So ibig sabihin nung pinalaya sila po ang mga Marcoses noon, they're not following any rules. Yan. That is why they call the government of Cory Aquino as revolutionary government.
That's what's happening in Bangladesh now. When PM Hasina ba yun, after 15 years of ruling, escaped or fled, there's no successor. Ang successor ngayon, I think, it's being run by a military junta, and I think they're still looking for somebody from the civilian population to be elected or nominated as a de facto head of the civilian government. I haven't read it yet. Ewan ko kung ano na nangyayari. So it was more like what's happening in Bangladesh now. It was more like what happened in '86, in the Philippines.
So basically, you cannot apply the succession rules in 1986 to sa succession rules ngayon. Kasi what is happening now, let's say kung kunwari, the sovereign people speaks, the 1987 Constitution, that the ultimate, the ultimate sovereign is the people. Okay? So if the people is going to make a mass movement, and let's say that resulted to the removal of Bongbong.
Whether it's voluntary, if it's voluntary, we have a president na. When Erap resigned.
Well, if it's provided for by the Constitution,
then,
if the President resigns, the next in
that's why
line
Gloria
is going
became
to
president.
take over.
So,
Ganyan. Ngayon, kung kunwari, lumabas ang mga tao, the people exercise their sovereign will, and that resulted to BBM being removed. It still operates. Yes, it still operates within the 1987 Constitution. So it's still constitutional. Ganon. Kaya huwag kayong matakot dito sa mga putang ina to na na nagsasabi na lumalaban kayo sa the Constitution provides for it.
It's within our rights.
Oo,
It's within everybody's rights. It's guaranteed in the Constitution. The ultimate sovereign is the people themselves.
Ganun lang kasimple. Ayun. Kaya pala new recall lahat ng police ni Marbil. Ni Marbil.
Ni-recall yung
yung
mga security detail niya.
Oo.
Na-discuss mo, Joey, yung NBI na hinarang ng mga polis?
Oo. Sabi ni LC Xiao, I beg to disagree, Joey. Both EDSA 1 and 2 were both unconstitutional. The only difference was the first acknowledged it as such, while the latter didn't. Both successful military. Kung no, LC Xiao, if you're going to look at it sa legal point of view, actually, in 1986, it was already recognized as an exercise of sovereign will. So, meron yan yung lawyers, Filipino lawyers, kinanikanyan. There's a decision of that from the Supreme Court, which basically says that, yun nga yung doon. Well, this is the technical there is no dito, there is no political interpretation of what was happened during that time. Just the legal structure of what happened in 1986 at saka yung legal structure ngayon. Okay? Because we're gonna talk about the consequences of the people. If the people is going to exercise their sovereign will, is it unconstitutional? No, it's not. Because there is an an operating constitution now.
Because-
And if people are going to go out
Right.
and exercise that sovereign will, it is within the 1987
Because
constitution.
ito na nga, no, there would be two scenarios, no, or even three, no, if assuming the people will go out in the streets and conducts a massive protest, which will lead into either one, resignation of Bongbong Marcos, or abdication of his post, that's number one, or he will voluntarily flee from the country, abandoning his position, or he succumbs to an overdose of whatever illegal substance he's taking. All those three, under the present constitution, nominates the vice president as the legal and constitutional successor. Right? So whether he flees, whether he resigns,
Or he dies.
the
Vice President
the vice
is going
president
to,
is going to
Ngayon yung
assume.
EDSA 2 LC siya. EDSA 2 is, it's not extra constitutional.
He resigned eh.
Oo, it's not extra constitutional. It followed whatever the rules that was provided for by the 1987 Constitution. So you have to, yung EDSA 1 is, is a sui generis, a thing of its
sui
own.
generis.
Oo.
Sui
It is a
generis.
thing of its own.
Thing of its own.
Yung time na yon,
Sui generis.
basically, there is no
President.
operating
Framework.
constitution that time.
Yes.
EDSA 2 follows the 1987 Constitution.
Maybe
Ngayon,
what he was referring to was the reason why Erap resigned. Maybe it was because it was unconstitutional for him because Erap was probably pressured by the military or the people.
the problem there,
Right.
the Supreme Court also
Yeah,
parang
yeah,
spoke
yeah.
about it. So parang
may legal opinion na, no?
may nag-ano na sila doon,
Yes.
sinabi na nila na
And
that's
impeachment,
constructive,
yeah.
that's constructive resignation,
Right, right.
whatever that is. But to be fair, ang dami nagdi-disagree doon.
Of course,
Talagang
of course.
sinasabi nila doon, hindi tama yun. Unconstitutional yung interpretation
Ng
nila.
Supreme Court.
Supreme Court.
Right.
Kaso nga na Supreme Court yung nagsabi. Yeah. So perhaps baka yun nga yung sinasabi ni
yeah,
unconstitutional.
So ngayon, yung decision ng korte, yung opinion ng korte na ngayon can also become a premise of what will happen in this situation with Bongbong Marcos.
Ayun. So yun yung Erap did not resign. He officially filed leave of absence. Kaso nga lang, hindi ganun yung naging interpretation ng Supreme Court. Yun yung problem doon.
Tama eh.
So ang problem
You don't file, when you're president 24/7, you don't file a leave of absence from your duty as president.
Correct. Who are you going to file it to? You're the president. Ganon.
Oh my God.
So yun, ang tawag dito, the problem is, LC, yung kay, whatever, how, regardless of how crazy what the decision of the Supreme Court that time was, it operated based on the auspices within the auspices of the 1987 Constitution.
Yes.
That's very different from the situation in 1986.
In 86, yes.
Because 1986, RevGov yun revolutionary government.
yes.
When you say revolutionary, there's no operating there's no
It
operating.
operated outside the 1973 Constitution at that time.
It operated outside the Constitution. So that is why, yun nga itong mangyayari, hindi natin alam kung but the 1987 Constitution provides and recognizes for the sovereign will of the people.
Right.
That if the ultimate sovereign is the people. So what does that mean? Actually, yan nga yung isa sa mga base nga yung sa mga nag-aral dito ng ng ating constitution. Isa nga sa mga reason kaya nilagay yan.
Right.
Because they thought that the 1986, the revolutionary government demonstrated the will of the people.
Right. Parang si Bernas ata yung nag-ano niyan.
So therefore, you have to include it in the legal framework, in the constitutional framework of the 1987 Constitution. Basically, adapting kung ano yung ginawa ng 1986.
Right.
That if the people is going to exercise their sovereign will, everything must yield. Ganon.
Parang yun binalidate ng 1987 Constitution what happened in 86. They enshrined it in the Constitution in 87. So, yun.
So successful people now is not unconstitutional, but pag di nagtagumpay, yun, rebellion po ba? Well, they can definitely find so many reasons to to put these people in legal trouble. Actually, yan din yung joke ng professor ko nung Yan din yung joke ng professor ko nung nag-aaral ako. Sabi niya, well, ganito lang kasi yan. Pagka kunwari, you take up arms, ganyan-ganyan, you wanted to do a revolutionary kinembot, ganyan-ganyan, and it wasn't successful. Pwede kulong ka.
Kulong ka? If it's successful, you're a hero.
If it's successful, you're a hero.
You're a hero. Ganun lang yun.
Ganon. But rebellion requires armed
Armed component
and violence. And I don't think people are going to it is not being it's not being encouraged that so far as they are still, I think, parang there is no hatred between the two
Well,
at this point.
yes, I think
at this
so.
point.
I think so.
Okay pa sila. But they are aware that she is a Duterte and Amy is a Marcos.
Right.
So let's put it that way.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
Right.
Ganon. Ako naniniwala ko, hindi mag-ano. Like for example, sa impeachment, boboto si Senator Amy against Inday. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yun nga lang, Amy is still Marcos.
Well,
Still a Marcos,
it's still
diba?
his younger brother.
And Sarah is still a Duterte.
And Sara is still the daughter of PRRD. So,
pagdating sa political reality,
Right.
they have to re-examine the...
and in fact, I would even discount Amy Marcos in this situation now. What Amy Marcos does or says, I think, is no longer relevant.
Nawala daw ang audio.
Sorry.
Nawala ang audio.
Walang audio? Okay. Ba't nawala yung audio?
Nawala ang audio. Okay. Sige.
Kayo,
Gandang hapon, nawala po kayo ng audio.
Okay
Meron
na daw.
na daw. Okay.
So yun, I think the discussion, I think what Amy says or do now, I think it's irrelevant talaga. For me, it doesn't hold value it doesn't really hold value what Amy says or does now. Ang importante na ngayon is what Sarah says and what Sarah wants to do
Correct.
and what she declares.
Correct.
That's regardless of where Amy Marcos stands. No? And I think Amy now is in a very precarious position.
Nakalive daw sa PRRD ngayon.
Nakalive na?
FPRRD.
Supporters. Baka sa TikTok. Hindi sa
Ang
TikTok.
maitutulong ni Amy at sabihin niya ang katotohanan sa kapatid niya, sabi ni Myra, agree!
Well, agree, but again, it doesn't hold value anymore. I think, the video, katibina, it's more than enough.
Actually, yung Senator Amy na talking is already
It's already talking, yes.
It's
It's just like,
Kinonfirm na
Right.
ni Senator Amy na Adictus Benedictus ang kapatid.
Right. So-
Yung fact na hindi nagsasalita si Senator Amy,
Right.
inaamin niya na addict ang kapatid niya.
Exactly. So
there's no need to elaborate
she is
pa.
irrelevant to the discussion now. No, sorry to say, to Amy Marcos, but she is no longer relevant to this discussion about the substance abuse of his brother or what Sarah does in the next few days. No? Yun.
Talaga ba? Live talaga? As in live ngayon?
Tingnan ko, Sunday.
Check namin. Anyway, I'm going to end this live, guys. I hope I can do another live.